Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Mike McDowell. And Russell Jackman is off today. We will have a special guest coming on in the next segment. At each commercial break, we're going to ask a trivia question. Now, last week we had questions regarding the 1920s. So this time we're going to have questions regarding the 1920s. How's that?
What? Again?
I just have three more questions on the 1920s. These, I think you should be able to at least get one, two, maybe even all three answers, Mike. And maybe our guest will know the answer.
Of course our guest is going to get it because you know why? He's a pretty smart guy. I mean, the guy went to Penn, okay? The guy went to the University of Pennsylvania, an Ivy League school. So I'm just saying he's pretty sharp.
Okay,
he's pretty sharp.
Very good. When we come back, also, really quickly, fans were heckling Wyndham Clark, and I think it's probably because he kicked in a locker before. He probably got sort of a bad boy image for defacing property or whatever. But I'm wondering how many of these hecklers were like betting on other players. And if that's going to be a thing, if you think about it, right? You want a certain player to do lousy, you start heckling him like right when he's ready to hit his shot. Think about that for a minute. There was a guy also in bowling named Marshall Holman in the 70s and 80s, and he was same sort of thing. It's like right when he's ready to get to his approach, just people hated this guy, and they would blurt out stuff right as he at his approach. I mean, it's really, listen, I don't care if you don't like the guy, let the guy earn his money in his profession without, it reminds me of that Seinfeld episode. All right, audience, stay with me. Stay with us. You're listening to Sports Econ 101. Don't touch that dial. When we come back, Mike's going to introduce our special guest. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Mike McDowell. Mike, who's our special guest today?
Yeah, a really interesting topic today we're going to talk about. Edward, you and I, we always try to find the unusual, the unique. Well, where am I going with this? Well, our special guest happens to be the athletic director of a really interesting school. We're going to talk about NCAA Division II athletics. It is estimated that about Division II athletics generates anywhere from $2.1 to $2.7 billion within the U.S. economy. Okay, that's a lot of money. People don't often talk about Division II sports. You never hear it on local sports talk radio. But today we're going to talk about it. And the guy who can really inform us better than probably anyone in the country, as I said, smart guy. Penn graduate, played baseball for them. We welcome in the one and only Jud Damon. He is the athletic director of Flagler College, located in one of the most really iconic cities in America. In fact, not only is it iconic, it's the oldest city in America, St. Augustine, Florida.
Yeah.
And so it's a town of about 16,000. And Jud is a guy I've gotten getting to know a little bit here. Definitely want to consider him a friend of the show. But first and foremost, let's start off with the congratulatory kind of praise here, because Jud and his Flagler Saints, the Flagler College Saints, just won the men's Division II national tennis tournament, the first tennis tournament national championship in the history of Flagler College. And Jud, I think that's a great way to start off the show. Congratulations, because that is a huge, momentous occasion for the Saints, isn't it?
Well, thanks. I appreciate that a lot. It's great to be with you guys today. That was our first NCAA national championship. We had won 7 tennis national championships when we were NAIA. Our men's program had won 2 back in 1977 and 86. And then our women's program had won 5 consecutive national championships, NAIA, back in the late 80s, early 90s. But this we as an institution transitioned from the NAIA to NCAA Division II in 2006 to 2008. So we've been D2 since then, and this was our first national championship.
Now, is Flagler known for tennis? Is that people
That's a
go there for that?
that's a great question. So the college was just founded in 1968,
Oh, wow.
and was a women's college until 1971. They had a change in presidents and some trustees, and they said this isn't going to work. We got to be co-ed, and we need to be known for something. We're in the nation's oldest city here in St. Augustine, and beautiful, incredible buildings here. But we need to be known for something. We need to put some emphasis on an academic program, an athletic program, something. We can't be great in everything. We're just starting out. And so on the athletic side, yes, some investment was made into the tennis program. And this is the early 70s. People coming to Florida are coming here for tennis and golf. And so tennis makes sense for us. Let's be great at tennis. And so they put some emphasis, some money into tennis, some scholarships into it, and got great very quickly. In fact, people would, for a long time, if you said you were from Flagler College, people would say, "Oh, that's the tennis school, right?" Well, when we won our first national championship in 1977, the coach who had started the program in 74 had been the high school coach of a fellow named Gordon Jones. Gordon went to Florida State University and was playing there when our coach, Peter Scott, got hired at Flagler. Well, Gordon loved him so much, he transferred from Florida State to come play for Peter Scott at Flagler, and we won the national championship with him. Well, Gordon's son is Mac Jones, the NFL quarterback. So there was this connection there. And Gordon is still heavily connected with the program. Mac hasn't come around, but we have a great history with tennis, and that's kind of a little bit of a backstory.
Hey, Jud, you've been at the helm for 17 years. As I mentioned, you went to the University of Pennsylvania, but a little quick background about yourself. You know sports as good as anybody because you were a big star. I believe you're a pitcher, and if I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, but you played at Penn, and then you played minor league baseball. You're around the Montreal Expos organization for a number of years. And so making the transition from a competitive, and you also coached, I believe you coached for the University of,
UMass.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Massachusetts, UMass. And so you bring this competitive side from your athletic as a baseball player and a very serious player and also a very good one to becoming an athletic director. Quickly, what was that transition like? Because when you're coaching baseball players, it's a different kind of mindset. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like, it's very focused, it's very tough at times. How did you have to adjust your style, your background to become a very successful athletic director? That because not only have you been successful, but you're one of the top schools in the entire nation in the Learfield Sports Cup standings. So, I mean, how have you had to make that transition, if that makes sense?
Well, luckily, I had a kind of a transition period. My first AD job, I was also the head baseball coach at a little school in Miami called Trinity International University, South Florida campus. And so I was the AD and baseball coach there, and it kind of helped me understand administrative leadership while still having my hand in the game and leading, recruiting, and coaching and being on the field. So that I think that helped with my transition. And I always think there are a lot of people who are cut out for coaching, or they may be cut out for administrative leadership, but not a lot of people are good at both. It's kind of a different mentality.
Sure.
And I think probably I was more cut out for the AD role. Um, but I loved coaching. I loved the relational part of it. But
Well, and being an AD, I mean, that you're covering all the sports
yeah,
in
yeah.
college. I mean,
Well,
that's
yeah, but it gave me some credibility. Having coached helped me have credibility as an AD.
yeah, sure.
I think.
How many,
Yeah.
just before we go to a break, how many schools are in your division? I mean, D2 is still
Yeah.
huge. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if you separated out between East Coast, West Coast, that sort of thing, or
Yeah, there are over 300 Division two
hmm,
schools nationwide. In fact, we were just out in California for a NCAA tournament game in men's lacrosse. But yeah, um, we're one of I think about 312.
yeah. And for a small school, I mean, you have to pay for plane tickets and all that. That's
Well,
got to
Judd,
thankfully,
balance the
when
money
you're in
out
the
there.
NCAA tournament, the NCAA covers it.
Well, okay, there you go. I like that. Okay, here we go. We're going to go to our first trivia question, and as a reminder to our host and guest, if you know the answer, don't say anything quite yet. We're going to cut to a break. We come right back. We'll ask the question again, and then see if you know the answer. Talking about the 1920s. In 1928, Alexander Fleming was credited for inventing what? Okay, don't say anything yet. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com the answer to this question. Alexander
oh yeah, I
Fleming in
got this. Sure.
1928 was credited for inventing what? Stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Except for me.
Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Mike McDowell, our special guest, Jud Damon. First trivia question, we're talking the 1920s. In 1928, Alexander Fleming was credited for inventing what? Mike.
God, let Judd do it. He says he knows it.
All right,
Everybody knows this,
everybody,
right, Judd?
like everybody knows, it's too easy, so I'm going to let you go ahead.
Penicillin. Penicillin.
Of course.
Of
How
course.
remiss of
Penicillin.
me.
Penicillin.
Uh,
Okay, hey, just
that's
really
great.
quickly, I got a quick. This is not a silly pun of the week, but it's a kind of a silly story. Okay, so a woman with a salad walked past a grandpa in the restaurant and said, "You know, a cow died so you could eat that hamburger." And the grandpa said, "Well, if you weren't eating its food, it might have lived." And that reminds me, why are vegans so smug, right? I mean, doesn't asparagus and lettuce, they're living organisms, they have feelings too, right?
No doubt.
Anyway, don't eat that lettuce. It's got feel. It's a live thing. Okay. Anyway, Mike, please reintroduce our guest.
Yeah. We want to welcome our very special guest. Just gotten to know him a little bit. Met him a couple of years ago at a basketball game. I went to a Flagler College basketball game. They had a great team a few years ago. In fact, I believe they went to the NCAA Division II Final Four. I recall them. I think the game was played on either ESPN or CBS Sports. It was a lot of fun. I'm sure Judge can talk to us a little bit about that. But by the way, it's an absolute Flagler College Saints love fest. And I apologize. Damon's having some trouble. Judd's having trouble with his camera, but he's a great-looking guy. And we've got the Flagler College Saints apparel surrounded us in the studio here. So I know that doesn't make you unhappy, Judd. And I'll tell you, man, you are at one of and Edward. If people that are listening, and I want really Judd to get a load of this. This show goes coast to coast, border to border, and around the world with our U.S. military. So to all our men and women that are serving, thank you very much. We are so grateful to be part of the American Forces Network. And so, Judd, I'm putting a little pressure on you, but I got to tell you, man, you have, and Edward, you got to come out to St. Augustine, Florida. I'm not kidding you. Look this up.
Yep.
The campus is considered one of the most truly iconic campuses in the country. It's stunning. It used to be an old hotel. Henry Flagler owned it, one of the wealthiest, got one of the guys involved with Standard Oil. And this campus, when you see it, you're like, wow. Is that fair, Judd?
But yeah, it's breathtaking. I think I've seen many times where the campus has been rated the #1 most beautiful campus in the world. Not,
Really?
I mean, they'll have campuses from like Czechoslovakia or,
Yeah.
England, France, and it's just incredible. Henry
How many?
Flagler is interesting. Say again?
I was just saying, how many students are there?
About 2,200.
Okay. It's funny. And
Yeah.
I told my wife, because we love Florida and we wanted to go visit. I said, well, why don't we go visit St. Augustine? I think it goes back to like 1570 something,
1565.
1565.
Yes.
Okay. Hi,
Yes.
close.
Yeah, it's the oldest city in America. In fact, the very first Thanksgiving was founded in St. Augustine. Everybody thinks it was, the Pilgrims, but it's not
No,
true. It was
no,
the
before
Indians
that.
and the Spanish priests that founded the area.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Uh,
The
hey,
Henry Flagler story is a great story. If you look up who Henry Flagler was, he was the brains behind Standard Oil. Rockefeller liked the headlines and being in the news, but Henry Flagler came up with the ideas for it, and he really played a huge role in getting the settlement of Florida in the late 19th century.
as we alluded to, on shows like this, we try to bring very unique subjects, and you don't hear. Listen, if you're in a major market, you don't hear anything about Division II college athletics. Now, if you're in a St. Augustine, Florida, or in the middle of Georgia, or the middle of Iowa, you'll understand the flavor. But let's give people a little better perspective. Again, economically, anywhere from 2.1 I read from to $2.7 generated collectively, which is a lot of money. But Division II sports has produced some of the greatest athletes in American history. Walter Payton, when Jackson State was a Division II school. Larry Allen, Sonoma State University, it's in the Bay Area. Larry Allen played for the Dallas Cowboys, the 49ers, and he's in the Andre Reed, the Hall of Fame. Tyreek Hill, West Alabama. I'm just basketball. Ben Wallace, Charles Oakley, baseball. J.D. Martinez, Mike Piazza, the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, I'm just kind of giving you a bit of a snapshot of the type of players
Not
that
everybody's going to
actually play
get,
in Division II sports.
Mike, you got to figure that not everybody can get, there's so many athletes out there. Not everybody can get recruited and scouted for D1. So they're just going to have to go to D2. Is that true?
Well, that's true. And a lot of times, kids are just missed.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
example, I mean, we had a kid playing baseball for us the last 2 years named George Gilson, and he came to Flagler College as a walk-on
Mhm.
and played. He got a fair amount of playing time his freshman year. Well, his sophomore year, he just put together one of the best offensive seasons I've ever seen, and hit over 400. Led the program in the conference in home runs, stolen bases, all this. So, as people do these days, jumped right into the portal after the season was over, into the transfer portal, and he's going to TCU and signed for a lot of money. And he came to a D2 school as a walk-on.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Really?
It's just weird to hear, signing with a college for a lot of money. It's
I
like,
know.
that was such a taboo thing when I was going to college.
I know it.
It was illegal,
I
actually.
know.
Go ahead.
Hey, how much, of course, our very special guest, Jud Damon, the athletic director at Flagler College, how much revenue does athletics produce, A, for the college, and then B, the local economy to St. Augustine? Because St. Augustine, I think, is a great example. It's only 16,000 residents, but the college has so much spirit within the city, and it's critical that it's so critical for the town to actually, both of you, the town and the college, you really have to come together, embrace one another, don't you?
Yes, yes. It's interesting because this area has really been booming post-COVID, and so the city itself is, yes, about 16,000, but the county, which is it's large in land area, is well over 300,000 now, maybe 350,000 in the county. But the the college is a really important, a vital part of the downtown. And when Henry Flagler built these hotels, if your listeners look this up and they just look up Henry Flagler or St. Augustine or Flagler College, and they'll see these magnificent structures that were built. It's the centerpiece of the campus, but it's the centerpiece of St. Augustine. The campus is, and these buildings that Henry Flagler built. So there's it's a close-knit community, and there are very close ties between the college and the community.
No doubt about it. And again, the town is just so picturesque. It's out of like a Norman Rockwell or something, but it's a great place for kids to go to school. Tell us a little about the athletic experience. And before I forget, Edward, if you ever get a chance, and I'm sure that Jud will talk a little about, but at Christmas time, they have a thing called the Nights of Lights. And it is truly one of the greatest Christmas celebrations in all of America. You don't think of Christmas in Florida, you think of snow and all that stuff, but St. Augustine, man, did they do it right? They do it right. And so the experience of going to a school for a student athlete, what is that like at your level, Jud?
Well, especially in this day and age with the transfer portal and NIL, we talk about with our coaching staff here the necessity of having some distinctives, things that are going to make us different. And someone might choose to come here and play at Flagler College as opposed to going someplace else and getting a paycheck for playing. We don't do an NIL collective. So student athletes can go and they can search out NIL opportunities on their own, but they're going to have, we try to really double down on the experience, the overall experience that they will have as a student athlete here. And that means they're going to develop and they're going to improve. They're going to be challenged, but they're also going to know that they can have a balanced life in Division II athletics, and they can enjoy the overall college experience. They're not going to be consumed and worried about losing their scholarship if they have a little bit of an off year. So there's a different emphasis. We're absolutely all about winning championships, but not at any cost. We want to develop our student athletes and ensure that they have a great experience while they're here, a great overall experience.
Okay, guys, we had to cut to our second commercial break here. We're talking about the 1920s. All right, who defeated Jack Dempsey in 1926? Boxing, we're talking here, 1926. Who defeated Jack Dempsey? And if you remember, there was a special funny rule that had happened that was brand new, if I remember correctly, the story about this. We'll get into that in just a little bit. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101 will be right back. Do not touch that dial. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. One more time, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mike McDowd and our special guest, Jud Damon. All right, second trivia question. Who defeated Jack Dempsey in 1926? Anyone? Michael?
Yeah, Rocky Balboa.
Rocky Balboa, no.
But not Joe Louis.
Not Joe Louis, no, Gene Tunney.
Not Joe Louis?
Remember, Dempsey, he forgot, I think if I remember correctly, the rule was, it was brand new about you had to go to a neutral corner, and he forgot. And so what happened was that rule, because what would happen is the guy would start to stand up and they'd pound him again. And they go, wait a minute, you know what, let's make this rule that if you got to go to a neutral corner and give the guy a chance to get up. Well, because Dempsey forgot, it gave an extra 5, 10, 15 seconds, and Gene Tunney ended up regrouping. Then he ended up beating Dempsey.
Wow. Gene Tunney, huh? Sounds like a baseball manager. Anyways, anyways. Hey, listen, our special guest is truly a good guy, Jud Damon. He's the athletic director at Flagler College in St. Augustine, Florida, and Jud, thrilled to have you. Hope you're having some fun so far. And we've got the Flagler Love Fest going on in the background. And, one of the things you and I spoke about, Jud, was the fact that The landscape of college sports, we've talked about it with several others, but it's changing. And, obviously NIL, revenue sharing, there's really been a major divide between the Power Four schools and everyone else. So, how do you see that landscape changing and evolving, and how does it affect schools like Flagler?
Mhm. Well, I mean, people use this expression and have the last few years. It really has been like the Wild West. Every time you think you think that there's going to be some kind of sanity or some rules, some guidelines for us, another lawsuit comes along and the NCAA loses it. So we are definitely affected in Division Two. It's kind of a trickle down effect. I mean, you could say, the Power Four uh, schools and conferences, it trickles down to the mid majors, and the mid majors to the D2s, and the D2s kind of have their haves and have nots, and the D2 trickles down to D3 and NAI and JUCO, and even down to high school where there's NIL money in high school, and uh, it's it there are a lot. There's of course an attempt. I think it just passed the Senate committee, this bipartisan committee in the United States Senate for the Safe College Sports Act, and I think that was a big hurdle, but now it has to get through the both chambers and get to the president's desk. But they're trying to rein it in a little bit so that there's some semblance of accountability and fairness. The You could say the Power Two, the Big Ten and the SEC, adamantly opposed to it.
It's true.
So,
They don't want to
yeah,
share.
it's
They don't want to
different.
play nice in the sandbox.
Yeah, no, it's very different. I've always said this when, being on a college campus for most of my career, kids will come and, ask for career advice, and, they think they want to be a college AD. And I tell them there are really two career tracks. There's like the Power Four, the big time Division One, and then there's everybody else.
Hmm.
It's a completely different world and a completely different career track.
Well,
And
Mike, you
so
said
we're
you said that Division Two was about 2 billion. How big is Division One? Like 10
I,
billion?
I would think at least
Wow.
overall impact. I mean,
Uh,
it's I mean I think that there are. I haven't looked recently. It's changing so fast. But you think about if they're at Ohio State, maybe they're paying their athletes $50 million in athlete salaries, not to mention coaches' salaries and all the facility. I mean, it's
yeah.
just take one school. It's got to be
But,
close to
Michigan that can fit 100,000 people in their stadium.
right. Yeah, it's nuts. It's a very different world, and I've obviously chosen small college athletics, and I've loved it.
It's
Yeah,
funny.
you said something really interesting, Judd. I met the uncle. I was at a men's conference of the former University of California quarterback who happened to make a little jump over to Indiana University, the Heisman Trophy winner,
Yes.
Mendoza. What's really interesting? So I spoke to his uncle. I said, do you know that? Yeah, I was wearing a Cal polo shirt. I never wear the thing, but I did. And he's like, hey, my nephew is a quarterback there. Oh yeah, who's that? He's like, from Mendoza. I go, that's your uncle. That's your nephew. I said, holy cow. Yeah, he's transferred to Indiana. I said, well, how much did they sign him for? And I think he said something like, well, I think he's getting like 800,000 or something like that. No, 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 no. It was much more than that. It was like 3.5 million or something like that. I
Huh?
mean, the fact that we're even having this conversation is there's an old song called "Insane in the Membrane," but it's truly an unthinkable conversation, isn't it?
It is. It
It
is.
is.
I mean,
I appreciate these kids getting that because if they get hurt and their pro career is over before it
yeah.
even starts, okay, then a lot of them, because practicing is really challenging. A lot of them don't go into, law and accounting and stuff like that. They go into communications and liberal arts because it's just too much to take on the schooling as well. Now,
Yeah,
some people can do it, obviously, but for the most part, they don't generally, isn't that true? They don't generally take the super hard courses.
that's generally true. Yes.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
they might as well make their millions
yeah.
now.
No,
Yeah.
it's. I mean, I just think the pendulum swung too far in that direction. I mean, I understand the
Yeah.
a little bit, but baseball. I always felt like baseball had it right. So baseball, if you were a great player out of high school, you're going to get drafted and have an opportunity to play professionally, and and you could go that route, or you could go to college, and yeah, you might get hurt and might not get a chance to play, but you had the choice, and you could go to college, get an education, and then play professionally. But basketball and football, college has kind of been the minor leagues for a long, long, long time, and
Well,
so
also though, when you get drafted out of high school, I mean, you generally go into, single A, then double A, rookie ball, and then, I mean, you don't make
yeah,
anything. And
no,
so
you
it's
don't.
only when you get maybe, I guess, what do they even at triple A, what do they make?
No, no, they don't make much, but
No.
they that's true, and this is why football and basketball players weren't supposed to be making much in college either. It's like, there's a process to get there, to where you just like, everybody, you kind of pay your dues in your career or whatever you might happen to do. But now we've got 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds getting 3, 4, $5 million to go play football. And then they opt out of the bowl game. Their team doesn't matter. Their school doesn't matter to them. So I don't, I think a lot of people don't like the way it is
Yeah.
for
Well, a lot
different
of times,
for different
they're opting out of
reasons.
the bowl games because if they get hurt, their
Right.
career is over.
Exactly.
That's the reason. But um,
Yeah. No doubt. But
yeah,
it used to be, well, hey, your teammates and you have worked. This is what you're striving for all year long to get to a bowl game,
yeah.
and now you're just worried about yourself.
Yeah, quick question. Do us a favor because again, some people don't know about Division two sports, and you can do this better than anybody because you lived it, you see it, you witness it. Paint a picture of what Division two sports really means to a community, a college. For example, I know that there are some schools that play football that get 20,000. That's more than some Division one schools. Tell us a little about that. Some of the basketball crowds, I got to tell you, I know I read, I don't remember what school it is. I think it's the nicknames of Lakers, but their arena seats 8,000. That's much bigger than Division one facilities. But tell us what that 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 spirit, that really what it means to a community, because I know we see a lot of it at the Division one level because it's on TV, etc., and the traditions have been for 100 years or whatever. But really, paint us a picture of what it is truly means at your level, because you've lived in the middle of places like Georgia. You know what it's like, don't you? And you know what it means.
Yeah. Well, yes, it it's a special thing, and I've loved it because usually they're not in major metropolitan areas, Division two schools. They're smaller markets and smaller towns, and so the college is just integrated with the community, with the town, and it's a very important part of the fabric of the community, the social life, people coming out to basketball games, and we're yeah, occasionally when we make a deep run into the tournament, we'll be on CBS or ESPN, but most of the time we're not. We're just live streaming our games for our fans, and that's it. But the school you were referencing, I'm sure, was Grand Valley State University in Michigan, and they have around 25,000 students enrollment. They have dominated the Learfield Directors Cup for many, many years in Division two. They probably, I don't know if they're bigger than Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan, Central Michigan. I mean, but they want to stay Division two, and they love Division two. And the motto of Division II is life and the balance. In other words, if you're a coach, you're a support staff, or administrators or athletes, you can have a balance in your life when you're a Division II athlete. But I mean, we've had a lot of, and I think we probably had 50 players, baseball players, sign pro contracts out of Flagler College, and there a lot of basketball players playing professionally overseas. So there are opportunities for, to advance as an athlete.
John, two important quick questions. Tell me a little bit about because I know you're doing some new things at Flagler, for example. You brought in some new, I guess, scoreboards, the visual experience. Talk a little bit about what you're trying to do there, what the goal of it is, and why it means so much for the game day experience.
Yeah, well, we're trying to enhance the game day experience in a big way, and we try to live by the idea that you make the big time where you're at. So we're trying to improve it all the time.
Last question, real quick, if you can answer. You've been an AD for a long time, 17 years at Flagler. Talk about a personal experience. I don't know if you can do 3 students, but 1 or 2 students that a lot of the kids come from such diverse backgrounds and have overcome amazing odds. Those are the kind of experiences I'm sure have got to touch your heart.
They do. We need to cut to a break, Edward. That's fine.
We do. When we come back, we've got just a short time. So tell you what, let's cut to our break now. We'll give you a little bit more time when we come back. Okay?
Yes,
We
sir.
only have about a 2-minute situation. Okay, third trivia question. In 1920, what did the 19th Amendment do? Stay with us. Sports Econ 101, and we'll be right back. Don't touch that dial. We'll be back with some closing comments as well. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mike McDowd and our special guest, Jud Damon. Third trivia question, 1920. What did the 19th Amendment do? Jud, what's the answer?
Gave women the right to vote.
Bingo. There you go. You got it right. Okay. Before we get to our to the end with our thoughts for the day, really quickly, if you could answer Mike's question about a couple of special students.
Well, there are so many. I couldn't even pick one out, guys. That just it's why I do it. It's why I'm in small college athletics, and I think this is a place where you'll find real amateur athletics still exists, and it's a high level of competition, but it's the real deal. And the kids that are competing here, it's why I love it. I get to know them, and I get to hopefully have a little bit of a good impact on their life. And there are a million good stories of student athletes who have come here.
If people wanted to get either in touch with you or the school, how would they do it?
Yeah, FlaglerAthletics.com. FlaglerAthletics.com. Yeah, very easy,
right.
and all that information's on there.
We're going to have you on
It's
again.
available.
I'm sure there's a lot more questions that we're going to want to ask you on the next show. All right, ready, guys? Here's our thoughts for the day. So the doctor gave me 1 year to live, so I shot him. The judge gave me 15 years. Problem solved, right? And when I moved into my new igloo, my friends threw me a housewarming party. Now I'm homeless. All right, audience. I knew you'd like that one, Mike. All right, audience, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We're going to be giving away, what are we going to do? We're going to be discussing sports topics from a business perspective. We're also going to be asking more trivia questions. Thanks for listening. Jud Damon from Flagler College, thanks again for coming on to our show. We're definitely going to have you on again. Audience, thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Go Saints.
Thank you.